Hi there. I'm so glad you've joined me today. I'm going to show you something pretty unique, which is an exposed oil tank. And the reason it's unique and important is that if you're moving here from anywhere else and you're moving to Portland, one thing that is very common is to do an oil tank scan. And if you find an oil tank, you need to then do testing of soil samples, and can be very complicated. There's a whole storied past of the oil tank, but oil heating was very common in Portland in the early 19th century and into the 20s and 30s. Some houses still remain with oil tank heating, and as long as they're well maintained and cared for and filled appropriately, there is really no problem. But other times, it's just something that we really want to make sure is taken care of appropriately and decommissioned appropriately if no longer in use, because they can leach oil into the ground and it can be very, very costly to fix. So the coolest thing today is that I get to show you an exposed underground oil tank, and you just don't get to see this all the time. So I'm gonna flip this around and show this to you because it's really cool. Okay, so we are looking at an old Tudor style home in the Alameda neighborhood of Portland, Oregon, which is in Northeast Portland. And they're doing some pretty significant updates to this house. So they're building in some egress windows here. You've seen that they've extended the retaining walls to make for a legal egress. And here is that buried oil tank. So they're very large. It's what a lot of Portland heat was derived from, was oil back in the day. They were buried under the ground, not always that far, about 3 or 4 feet. And then they would have valves inside that you could fill it. Some places have above ground oil tanks just sitting in their basement, and they're just these large metal drums. And so what's likely going to happen here is that they will pull this out of the ground and decommission it. It's possible that they found some contaminated soil samples, and that's why it's exposed and has to be pulled out. And then all the contaminated soil will also need to be pulled out. So something pretty cool to see live it in the flesh. And you can see how it kind of runs. You know, it's potentially problematic because there's some drainage, probably sprinkler system, irrigation pipes also really close. Sometimes they've been crammed next to water lines or sewer lines. Sometimes there are multiple oil tanks buried in one property. So lots to think about when moving to Portland in regards to oil tanks. And just something to add about oil tanks is that you want to make sure that they're decommissioned or they're properly maintained and used. Because if you come across an oil tank that's buried and nobody talked about it or nothing's been done about it, but it's no longer being used, then it'll require soil sample testing. And if there's any leaching of oil into the soil, it could cost thousands of dollars. So $12,000 to $15,000. Otherwise, a normal decommissioning is that they would drill a hole into the top of the buried tank, fill it with gravel, they'd certify it with the DEQ, and they would have it decommissioned by the state, registered by the state, and then it is good to go. So you just want to make sure that if there's an oil tank, it's been properly decommissioned or it has been properly maintained and is functioning appropriately. My name is Piper Minke. I'm a real estate agent here in Portland, Oregon with Urban Nest Realty. I hope that you liked this video. More videos to come. If you like it, please subscribe. Have a wonderful day.